The Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 13. Thoughts? This episode is called Beside the Dying Fire. The episode is rated TV-14. Another episode I love. Spoilers for this episode and the ones leading up to it. Let's dive right in. This was a phenomenal finale. I really appreciate how different it was from the Season 1 finale. Like, in both of them, they're forced to leave somewhere that seemed safe, that it, appeared that they might be able to stay for a while, but in the first season, they only just got to the CDC, where in this, they've been at the farm for half the season, I think. And the the cause of having to leave is completely different. The CDC, the building was, self-destructing. They couldn't really stop that. And here it's all the walkers, who, of course, open the episode by doing their namesake. Yes, they are geeking out all the way from the city to the farm. And we see the helicopter again. I really hope there's going to be some answer for that helicopter, because it's been a while since we last saw it. Was that maybe episode 2 of season 1 or something? And, clearly, like, in the first, last time, Rick saw it, everybody else thought, oh, what are you talking about? There's no helicopter. And then here, it's part of why all the walkers leave for the, But yeah, that was a very clever, we knew that the city itself was completely overrun. Yeah, if they walk there, I'm not saying it makes sense, but, realism-wise. But yeah, this, like other zombie media, zombies don't really stop if you don't destroy the brain. They kind of can just move 24/7. In fact, more than that, 25/8 at least. And yeah, I was a little surprised that Rick and Carl were surrounded so early in the episode. But it does add tension, and yeah, the end of the episode before this one just told us there's a lot of them. It didn't say, how surrounded. But yeah, they got a lot of great tension out of it. And the thing with the barn was quite clever. And, setting a fire and several of the walkers just burning, and just the image that I really appreciate. They got some great shots of the barn burning in the background, especially honestly, both when it's like majorly on fire and they're at the very end, the last time we see it, where it's collapsing because of all the damage of the fire. And it's a good visual metaphor. They had something here, and it's gone. All the safety and security of the farm. And let's see. Yeah, some great character moments during the big attack. And I think it took up like a third of the episode or so before they were, free of all the walkers and back on the road, temporarily separated. And let's see. Yeah, I had thought that they were going to try to hole up inside the house of the farm, but I do appreciate, again, like, it wouldn't be quite credible if they were able to, if that massive amount of zombies didn't, eventually overwhelm them. There's no way they had enough ammo or could keep using blades and stuff like that. So, yeah. Despite what, zombie shooting games might have you believe. Really appreciated that on more than one occasion in this episode, someone, stomped in the head of a zombie on the ground. I see someone played Resident Evil. And let's see, I think that does pretty much get, let's see, Carol being saved by Daryl was a great moment. I wonder if anybody ships them, and if so, what do they call them? Because, like, most of their names sound the same. I guess they could call them Decarol or Caderol. And let's see. Yeah. It is understandable they think Andrea is dead. They are, I think it's Rick who says if she's not dead, she's far away from here. And yeah, if they had driven back to the farm, they wouldn't have found her. She did express wanting to be separated from the rest of the group. She was just hoping Shane would go with. And she is saved at the end by, I guess I shouldn't say, but I'm fairly confident I know who this character is. Yeah, cultural osmosis. I know some stuff about it. Not very much, but just, like, it's not the first time that I hear that, that it is revealed to me that there is a character in The Walking Dead that wields a sword, and just, yeah. I did, the IMDb trivia does confirm it is who I think it is, although apparently they hadn't cast that, the actress who ends up playing that character yet, but, yeah. I wonder if the person who did, yeah, perform the character here, like, got 15 minutes of fame and is like, that is me. I know you think of this, when you think of this character, you think of the famous person playing. Well, I don't even know if she was famous back then, but certainly she's been in other stuff since. But yeah, I think I might have found a new favorite character. And I love how much characterization they managed to fit in just a few seconds. Just like she chops off the walker's head like a boss. Like, just, this is not her first rodeo. And she's got, like, 2 walkers chained by her, and I think she's the one who removed their arms. I'm guessing it's, like, maybe to detect or deter other walkers, something like that. And yeah, with the chains, they're not dangerous to her. So, yeah. And let's see, and yeah, that was also, I thought they did a great job building, gradually Andrea runs out of ammo. We see her checking for, oh, not very many bullets left, and yeah, runs out, stabs like 2 of them, and then the third one, yeah, she's not in a great position to stab, because if that walker takes up, starts biting into her feet or something, that's, yeah, so let's see, I think, yeah, and, not every person who lived on the farm makes it out alive, and, Beth was holding on to her for dear life, but ultimately, bye, Patricia. And let's see, yeah, yeah, I honestly did think that Jimmy was going to be able to get them away in the RV, but the walkers got in there, and yeah, that was a great bit of, like, if the episode had done it like a bunch of times, it would have gotten old. But I really did think that would be, they'd be able to, jump onto the roof. It would drive off with them, maybe slowly at first while they're on the roof, but just get a little bit of distance between all the walkers and them, and then they'd climb in, and yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Herschel, really frustrated at not being able to stop the horde from invading his farm. And, I appreciate that we do briefly see him reload, so it's not, like, completely ridiculous that he's just standing there shooting for that long, but just, when it cuts away from him, he's reloading. We don't have to see it every single time. And I think that might be what I have for the attack on the farm itself. Just, yeah, a lot of great tension, some great little moments, most of which I have covered, and yeah, it felt a lot like, one of the Left 4 Deads or Contagion or some, yeah, Dead Island maybe. Let's see, I think, yeah, they regroup where they left supplies for Sophia. Sophie Plies, for short, and yeah, just the fact that, it's a great little moment, especially, as they leave, the camera lingers on the car window where they wrote, and some of the writing has actually been wiped out, I'm guessing by like wind or maybe rain or something, and just, yeah, we're taken back, not last, but the first time we saw them there, I believe the season opener of this, I think that was when they realized Sophia was gone, and they wrote that, on there, and, yeah. Like, it felt, like, even though they were already in a bad spot at that time, it still felt so much safer and less, just, yeah. And I think that does get us nicely to, yeah, the brief bit where, Herschel points out to Rick, you gotta take care of your son, and he's not sure if his daughter's made it, and this, I really appreciate, because like a lesser script would have just had them all meet up within no time, and also that several of them did have, were like, I don't know, should we really go back to the street road to the city? And at least one of them points, I think it's Maggie who points out, that's where the walkers came from, and yeah, I wonder, I will say, earlier in this season, I did think that we would see, not necessarily that they would really be 30, but the people Randall talked about, but then, oh, is that what that is at the very end? Don't tell me. I'm just thinking out loud here. I think maybe the 30 men he was talking about, they're at that massive, like, compound that we see at the very, very end of this episode, and I'm thinking there's gonna be some conflict between them and our group of survivors. Rick's people, the Rickettes. In the, maybe next season, or yeah, coming up at least. Let's see, and then we have, is that where the helicopter was going, maybe? I guess we'll find out later. Let's see. What else does that? Yeah. After a little while, they do have to stop on account of gas, Shouldn't have eaten so many beans. And they have to make camp, and yeah, the some really great character stuff with, yeah, the various, okay, so this is probably not going to be in order, but, Rick reveals what was, what Dr. Jenner told him at the CDC. They are all infected. That's what the blood tests showed. Which I guess, is that maybe part of why he didn't tell them for so long that if they stayed inside, they would all die, that he was thinking, well, they're infected anyway. I think he did. Did he maybe have a line about, if you go out there, it's just, you'll end up turning? And he didn't come right out and say, you're already infected. We kind of thought he meant, well, they'll get bitten, yeah. Let's see. But yeah. And for a while, Rick didn't even believe him, but then he saw Shane turn, and he's told, Randall also turned, and yeah. And him keeping that from them is, of course, a major breach of trust. And then he tells Laurie all these details about killing Shane, and it's a great, like, Laurie, she was definitely, she had issues with Shane, not the least of which the attempted rape, and all the threats that Rick also points to. But A, she didn't want him dead. B, she didn't want Rick to kill him and become a killer of someone, like this is not like the bar where it was 100%, self-defense. Like Rick himself says, I kept walking further, because like at the end of the day, if he hadn't gone quite as far, like there's some chance that Shane wouldn't have tried killing him if they were still relatively close to the camp. And yeah, if he had gone and told the others, Shane is trying to kill me, they could have decided as a group what to do. Like, I'm not saying that they would necessarily have had an easy time subduing him, but I feel like there's enough of them, and with the, like if, let's hypothetically say that all 4 of them came back to camp, Daryl and Glenn say, Shane definitely killed Randall. He lied to us. I don't know what he was planning, but it's not good. And then Rick says he was definitely going to kill me. At that point, I think any one of them that had any kind of inclination towards, like, physical, willingness to engage in physical violence with another human being would, join up and try to stop Shane. And let's see, I think that might, he's not going to be able to shoot every single one of them, and it only takes one of them to get, if one of them gets the gun away from Shane, the rest of them can join in to subdue him. Yeah, anyway, yeah. And let's see, where was I? Yeah. D, Lori's not happy that Rick, like, basically, he made the decision, and, the way he talks about how he felt about it. And then E, oh, by the way, our son shot friend of the family, now a walker, Shane, These are, yeah, so great little moment, and this thing of, like, she backs away from him, and when he tries to, he like puts his hand on her shoulder, and she, like, backs away from him. He takes a couple of steps to close the distance. She backs further away from him. These little things of, like, she's disgusted by him. It's possible that they can heal over time, but right now, yeah. And, they get back to the small encampment, and he's basically really frustrated because he feels like he didn't have a choice. And I think it certainly, there wasn't that much of a choice left, but yeah, the fact that he's, like, some of the things he says, not too popular. And, Carol says, Rick has no honor. And Maggie says, let's just go back and try on our own. And yeah, these various things. And Rick says, if you stay, this is no longer a democracy. And it is that age-old debate that isn't always 100% accurate as a debate. Certainly with, like, modern society and actual democracy, it's less of a debate than some people want it to be, more like false dichotomy. But yeah, it's that thing about those who are willing to give up freedom in return for safety deserve neither. It's something along those lines. He feels like the only way for them all to be safe is no more debates. And I don't agree with him, but it is, again, it's a moral dilemma, because, yeah, when they had debates, Shane kept managing to talk people into doing things that, clearly did overall hurt their chances of survival. So, if hypothetically Shane had never voiced a dissenting opinion, yeah, there's some chance that Rick's orders would have been followed more to the letter, and they would have been safer. It would have been, so yeah, really appreciate that. And yeah, he says, I never asked for this. And it is accurate that he didn't, it was essentially, he could keep a cool head, and he understands stuff like strategy. He has a big heart. Like, it makes sense that he became the leader, but it wasn't something that he was thinking like, oh, this will be great. He accepted it reluctantly because the they needed a leader. And I think that does cover this episode. Let's see. Yeah, Carl had some great character moments as well, talking about, not leaving without Mom. We have to go back for Mom, and they're at the end actually crying, and Rick not like trying to comfort him. Lori tries to comfort him, but yeah, he needs his father to hey, Dad, can you stop?